Hello and welcome to the Learned It, Living It podcast with Darlington College. Today we have got something slightly different. Today I've been joined by Chloe and we're going to look at all things CIPD. If you didn't know what that is the qualifications around the Chartered Institute of Professional Development. Tell me a bit about yourself.
Yes, my name's Chloe. I originally am from Catterick, Garrison,
Right.
and I work for GSC Grays, and I am the HR and recruitment assistant there.
There we go. I've just learned a whole lot more about you in the start of the podcast. It's how I like to do it, to be honest, because it keeps it real. So you work at GSC Grays?
Yes, I do, yeah.
How long have you worked there for?
I've worked there for about a year and just over a year and a half now.
Right, okay. And obviously we're here to talk about the CIPD qualifications. What have you done with Darlington College, basically? Let's start there.
So I went to Darlington College to study the level 3 people and practice. It was a 6-month kind of intense course of kind of the beginnings of HR, learning development, that kind of thing. It was every Wednesday night after work. It started at 4, finished at like 8 o'clock or something like that. And yeah, it was kind of just fitting it in between work, obviously full-time job, working at the same time. But the support was really, really helpful, and yeah, it was good.
Okay, so were you already working at GSC Grays before that?
Yeah, so I didn't come from a HR background, so
Okay.
it was really good to kind of get myself into a course that kind of focused on HR, learning development, those kind of things. So it gave me a really good insight to what was to come to progress.
Okay. And obviously, prior to your work at GSC Grays, I mean, what's your role at GSC Grays? And what was the catalyst? Was it that them saying that you would like you to undertake this training, or did you want to pursue some training on your own?
Yeah, so I got the job with GSC Grays as a HR and recruitment assistant, and within that I was very much keen to progress. And I think coming into a field where you don't have any background knowledge can be really daunting, but to have a company that is willing to kind of push you along and really support you and put you through the courses was really helpful. I mean, not only financially, but also facilitating that time was really, really helpful.
So why this career choice? What were your motivations to kind of get into this in the first place?
I mean, I've always liked the idea of kind of HR and things like that and recruitment. And then the opportunity kind of came my way to kind of go into a new field. I originally was more pharmaceuticals, so it was a massive jump to kind of actually go into HR, learning development and recruitment. But yeah, I really enjoy kind of like helping people and seeing that process of that interview to the second interview to the starting the new job and the whole employee life cycle it's really interesting, and everything in between all that is just, yeah, no day's the same.
I think that's really good when your job is obviously got variability, and the beautiful thing about working with people is everyone's different. Everyone's got different things going on. Some people I imagine need support in times.
Yeah.
Some people might have challenges that they need to overcome. Some people might just be absolutely fine, don't need your help at all.
Yeah.
So no, I can see why you do that. So I suppose, what was the motivations? Obviously you've got the work thing, but what was the motivation to pursue this qualification?
I think this qualification in particular, I'd already had my A-levels and things like that, so I could have gone straight into the level 5, but I chose to do the level 3 because it was a complete new environment for myself to kind of go into. So that level 3 was really just the introduction to CIPD, which I'd never known about before. So it was really good to kind of have that first introduction of a snapshot of what it was all about. And then we were also given the opportunity to have a look at what level 5 would be like and level 7 and so on. So the motivation was to actually find out what this whole world of CIPD and HR recruitment was all about.
Yeah, because I suppose one thing's having the skills to be able to talk to people,
Yeah.
deal with people, but I suppose was part of the course. Does it obviously prepares you
Yeah.
for all the legal requirements? Is that right?
Yeah, so it looks into every part of, it kind of splits itself into 4 different departments of HR. So you are looking at the employment cycle, you're looking at data, and there's lots of data in people and workforces and things like that. You're also looking at kind of the legal, environmental sides of HR and what can affect the job market and things like that.
So I suppose the benefit is this an accurate reflection, I suppose, correct me if I'm wrong. So obviously you're doing the training, it's kind of broadening that side of the experience, because I suppose in the workplace you're dealing with the day-to-day.
Yeah, so it was really good to kind of have the theory side, which was the CIPD course, but also the practical side, which was me going to work every single day and seeing it firsthand, but then also understanding the theory behind it of this is why we do these processes and this is what could happen if you don't do these processes. So it was really useful to have both sides of it.
Well, I assume moving from pharmaceutical into a new sector, new field, obviously that can be a bit daunting.
Yeah, definitely.
So having this behind you can really help you go, no, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's what it is. It's just having that reinforcement, and it really builds your confidence to go into the work and think, actually, no, I am doing the right thing. And I've got the qualifications to back me now, and this is the right thing.
Yeah. So what was your motivation? Obviously, you're doing the pharmaceutical thing, and then you went for this HR opportunity. What's the motivation there? Why the switch?
I think there was more opportunities in HR. I think my personal personality, I think, can go with HR rather than pharmaceuticals. I loved my time with pharmaceuticals, really interesting. However, being able to deal with people face to face every day and having the interactions that I have and meeting all different people is something that I really enjoy, and it's something that I found was a lot
Was there a light bulb moment where you're like, I want to deal with people?
Yeah, 100%. And I think in the work I was doing previously, it was very kind of cold, Americanized, not very pleasant, maybe.
There's lots of rules and regulations, isn't there, with pharmaceuticals?
Yeah, and, one wrong move and something awful could happen and things like that. So being able to kind of talk to other people and seeing people coming into the job and watching them progress and things like that is something that I really, really enjoy.
Brilliant. Okay, so you're working away in your new job. I'll let you get a mouthful of tea. And you're obviously you've gone down this route, and the CIPD course was available. I suppose. How did you hear about that in the first instance? Is my initial question.
So the way I heard about it was my manager at the time was actually completing her level 5.
Right.
So I kind of had an understanding of, she's going through this like degree, and she's what is CIPD. And while I was for the first few months, she would constantly refer to this CIPD, and I was like, what on earth is this? Anyway, I had some Googling and had a look, and then I saw that there was a level 3 available in Darlington. So I then used my own initiative to then talk to my manager and be like, I want to do this level 3. And then she reviewed it, and then I got the opportunity to do the level 3.
Brilliant. Okay, so did you apply for it yourself?
Yeah.
How was that experience?
It was quite good, to be fair. It was really seamless. I had quite good communications with the college throughout, which was really nice. And I think the support overall was just very supportive, the whole environment.
Yeah, outstanding. So I suppose, what would your typical week? I know you've touched on it there, talking about Wednesdays, but give us an idea of your typical week, because here you are trying to manage your studies and you're trying to manage your work, obviously. So give us an idea what your typical week would look like and your experience.
So it would be visiting the college once a week. So I would finish my work probably about 2 o'clock, and then I would drive. It takes me about half an hour to drive down to college, especially with all the traffic. Drive there, and then I would do about 4 hours of college. We would be given coursework, we would be given homework, and obviously you've just done half a day of work. It's a lot to handle, but also then you are still going to work in the office. So it was all about managing my time well enough to be able to be prepared for the working day, because there's things like doing inductions and interviews and things like this, but also when work finishes, being able to do my studies and write the essays and things like that as well. And it's just finding the happy medium in between. And I had a lot of support with GSE Grays. They really helped me throughout. My manager was able to kind of have those weekly check-ins and being like, are you okay? What's going on? And also like Margaret from our course, she was really good at kind of checking in and making sure that things weren't too overwhelming and things like that.
Okay. Was there a practical element to the course?
Yes.
How did that sort of work?
Yeah, so...
Because I hear about the work, obviously, and you can do in the practical there, but what was the practical experience within the college?
Yeah, so the practical was an interview. So it was, we were given a case study, and we had to kind of interview one of our colleagues, and it was recorded, and it was all about... making sure you're asking the right questions, and getting the most out of somebody. So maybe not like short answers, something that you can explain on and expand on. I think it was about 30 minutes, the interview, and it was judged by one of our teachers as well. And we had a lot of time to kind of prepare for that as well. And it was really good to kind of take the time and prepare for it.
So when you're doing those interviews, you're kind of juggling all of the theoretical stuff, the legal stuff that you need to follow at the same time in your head?
Yeah, so we were given the kind of template of what a good interview looks like, okay, and how to get the best out of a person. And you're not trying to catch someone out, you're trying to get the best out of them, and also evaluate, are they going to be the best person for this role? Can you see them fitting into this? And also doing all the legislation of not discriminating against them, and being aware of what you're asking, so they feel like they've got a fair enough chance to get the role.
So do you have to do a large part of sort of self-reflection in terms of how you handle
definitely.
yourself in meetings and things like that?
Yeah, there was a lot of self-reflection in the course as well. So it was a lot of how do you feel like you've handled this, or how do you feel like you can handle this moving forward, and how would you go forward and do this? So there was a lot of self-reflection, and I think within the role of HR and recruitment, you have to have it, because you have to almost be a bit self-critical of how well are you talking to people. Could you have done that better? Could you have maybe asked them a different question, or things like that? So it's always about being self-aware.
100%. And I think the interviewing thing, I'm doing it with you right now. You know, I could be going, did you enjoy the course? And I get yes as an answer. So obviously in HR, you need to make sure that you're answering those open questions. But it's the way you sort of phrased it there about how could you, how do you think that you could approach that differently?
Yeah.
You're coming up with different ideas and different terminology in the way you say, well, okay, the result might have not been the best thing that we've achieved here, but how could we do it differently? And it's focusing on that, how could we do it differently, almost sitting next to the individual. I can hear it all in your voice. It's brilliant. It's great to hear. Did you do much in terms of interview techniques with people? I know you've been assessed, but did they actually coach you through it?
Yeah, definitely. I think we were able to kind of see a good interview. We were able to kind of see what kind of questions would be good. It was all kind of theory up until the practical assessment, where we were in groups and we'd been shown the way to do a good interview, and we were shown how to do this, and she wanted to kind of assess how we would do it. So for example, when I did it, I remember being quite nervous, and I think I just went straight into the questions, and at the end of it she said, oh, you know, next time maybe you can ask them how they are, or are they having a good day? Try and ease yourself into it. So now going forward, when I do my interviews, I will then consciously make that effort to kind of ease into it and ask them, how's your day been? Are you working from home today? Or, you know, something that will ease into the questions, not like slap bang, ready to go.
It's easy to focus on that objective, isn't
Absolutely,
it?
yeah.
You know, they call it summit fever when people are hiking and mountain climbing, things like that. And it's easy to focus on the objective and you kind of lose everything else. And it's very easily done, but it's great that you had the opportunity to practice that, because that means that you're not taking that into the workplace. Now, going, where's this paperwork or whatever.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant. What would you say was, so you kind of touched on it there earlier, but what would you say were like the biggest challenges you've faced on the course, and then how have you overcome them?
I think the main challenges for myself was probably the time management, obviously working a full-time job and, you know, having a social life and also doing college and absolutely everything in between. I found at the start to be quite difficult. But once I kind of made my feelings known to everyone around me, so my manager, GSC Grays, the college, I think I had a lot of support in the fact that I was able to have my one-to-ones. I was able to talk to Margaret about it. And I mean, they were available pretty much 24/7 via email or anything like that. So it was really, really good to get that support throughout the course.
I think it's a really good point to touch on, especially this, because what we don't want is to give a non-honest reflection. You know, you've done this around your work and you've had to do the work to do that. There's no shying away from that, you know, and I think the fact that you've been able to manage that effectively and you've done it with your employer, you've done it with the college, and I think that just shows, you know, that obviously it's something you definitely wanted, you know, so that's great. But I think it's great that's an honest reflection of your experience.
And you've got to put the time in as well. You've got to be able to be committed. I think it's got to be something that you want to do, or you won't commit yourself. And I think because it was something I was so passionate about, that I was willing, I was able, I was capable to put that time in to see the results.
Yeah. 100%. Totally agree with that. So the next one I've got is, what's the highlight or the key moment? So I got into marketing, for example, and the day I decided to retrain in marketing was the day I was walking to the local shop and I went, it's marketing, what do I want to do? So I remember that moment. What would be your equivalent moment of the stuff that you were doing on the course and then going, this is really benefiting me?
I had an interview with a lady who I thought was absolutely brilliant. I thought she was fab. And I remember it was just me in the interview and I just put her forward because I just thought she was great. Talked to the team. The team really liked her. Got her in. 2 weeks' time she was employed and now she's been promoted. And now I just feel like, thank God I had that course, because she's thriving in that role. She's doing really well, and I just feel really proud to have been able to kind of assist on that as well. And I think with the course as well, it kind of gave me the confidence to think, okay, yeah, definitely put her through. Talk to the directors about this. Have a conversation. The worst they can say is no. That's it, really. So I think having that just gave me the confidence to kind of push through and believe in my abilities a bit.
Yeah, that's a really great example. I love that. That's great. You must get a lot though. You're seeing this individual doing well, getting promoted. You're like, great, I was part of that journey.
Yeah. It's really rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. And why you do it, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so during your training, you've touched on it there about Margaret and things, but obviously peers, colleagues on the course. What sort of people are they? Where have they come from?
A lot of mix. There was some really young people in there that have just finished college, and there was a few, maybe some more experienced people as well. And it was really good to kind of see those different walks of life. So everyone's had different jobs, everyone's had different experiences. So it was really interesting when we're having those group discussions to hear what maybe someone a bit more experienced dealt with compared to someone that's never even been in the working world. So it was really interesting to have the group discussions. And I think we'd always come in and talk about what's been happening. Most people worked in the HR world, so we all kind of worked in the same line of work. So it was interesting for us to say, I've had this problem, how would you go about it? Or I think this might be an issue at work, what would you do? And getting those kind of like stories and advice from people, especially my peers, was really, really useful.
Yeah, I suppose it gives you kind of an access to different people with different issues. I know it's all handled confidentially, of course, confidentially, but it kind of gives you, it accelerates your experience to some regard, because you get to hear about other people's experiences and share that. So I think that'd be a great way of doing it. You've obviously touched on there, and you've done the learning and you've got a lot, but how would you describe the support and feedback from sort of your tutors that you've had throughout the process? What was that sort of journey throughout the course?
So our course was kind of split into two, where we had a woman called Margaret and then a woman called Kate. So half the course was taught by Margaret and the other half was taught by Kate. And obviously, two different teachers, two different teaching styles, and we kind of had to adapt to that as well. But we felt like, there was enough support around that we could adapt to that, and they were both great in two different ways.
Okay, and what sort of support? You said, did you have sort of one-to-ones?
Yeah, we had some one-to-ones. So obviously we're older, so we're not, being forced to come in. So it was really putting the effort in and coming in was something really, really useful. If you put the effort in, we were always told, you put the effort in, you'll see results. And that's what happened. So the one-to-ones are always optional. And they were always, you pick a time slot, whether that be 7:30, 8:30, you have to make that effort to come in and do the work. And from what I saw, the people that did make the effort definitely did get what they wanted from it. So they weren't forcing us and being like, you have to do this and you have to do that. But it was very much, this is self-study and you will do it in your own time. And it was definitely, it paid off.
Yeah, so I suppose for some people that might not have had fond memories of school necessarily, it does feel like, yes, you're going back as an adult in inverted commas. But does it feel a lot different? Like, tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, it definitely does feel different to school, because I think, personally, my experience with school, it was very much, dragging me through school, and I will get these GCSEs. But this was more of a, you've all come here for a reason, and you will get what you put out of it, which was really good, because it was kind of all shifted onto us. So you turn up every week. If you don't turn up every week, then you won't understand what we spoke about last week and things like that. And if you don't turn up, you've got to make the effort to kind of catch up and things like that. So yeah, it was very much kind of self-study, but there was also the support where you did need it at times.
It sounds a bit best like, yes, you may miss stuff, but we'll equally help you to get caught up, because life does get in the way.
Life happens.
Times, and things like that, and it is a bit different when you're an adult, air quotes, and you've got responsibilities and things like this that are different to when you were being dragged through school, as you said. But yeah, I think you've got it right. So, for those that are working while studying, like, have you got any tips to them about how you'd manage your responsibilities and how you'd manage your studies? Like, what sort of solutions did you come up with?
I think it's really important to kind of have a plan of action of what you're going to do. So whether that's you're going to spend your Saturday and Sunday solely looking at this, or if you're going to commit an hour every day after work to your studies, having that plan and sticking to it is something that really, really helped me. And also, be open, have that communication with your employer and be like, maybe I'm not going to stay over an extra hour tonight, or I'm going to go at 5:30 and I am going to crack on. So have that communication with your employer, and they should be as supportive as they can be. I think with GSC Grays, they were really supportive with my studies, and they really understood that I was also having kind of two workloads opposed from one. But yeah, no, just have an action plan.
It's almost like set yourself a bit of a timetable type thing.
Yeah, manage your time, and make some sacrifices, because I think you need to be realistic, and I think, maybe skip the pub. And just, it's all about just what you want to put your time into.
But you could go to the pub and celebrate when you've completed the course.
Oh, trust me, that's exactly what I did.
How long was the course again?
It was about 6 months.
Right, so were you looking at it going, right, 6 months hard work, get this done, short-term change.
For long-term reward.
Benefit.
Absolutely. It was 6 months out of my life, which, I mean, I put on most of my friends on pause, my boyfriend was on pause, like everything took a little bit of a backseat while I focused on this. And it definitely has, I've reaped the rewards of it, and I feel a lot more confident in my role, and I feel like it's definitely benefited me for sure.
Yeah. And I think if we looked at, right, you want to move into HR, you want to get some qualifications. I mean, if this wasn't the route, what are your options? Leave the job per se and enroll in college, and I suppose this is a good way of doing it, where yes, you've made some lifestyle changes, but if you were going to undertake any training, you'd have to make some huge changes anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's really good that they can offer kind of the flexibility to kind of have it once a week. You can kind of fit it around your employer and your own work as well. So yeah, they were really, it's a great balance of the two if you can find it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's great. I think in terms of like, obviously you touched on there some of the stuff that you immediately applied, but how much have you been able to apply? When did you qualify? When did you finish the course?
I finished in probably September, so it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago. And the thing is, though, one thing's finishing the course, but you're already working alongside. So how much of that course sort of curriculum have you sort of already been implemented in the workplace in your day-to-day job?
Everything. Absolutely everything.
Everything.
Absolutely everything, from employee cycle, so from sourcing a candidate to interviewing them to their first day, to the exit process and a leaver and things like that, to data entry. There's so much data that goes into HR that I had no idea about until I had that course. Finding out retention and how much retention a company's had, and the importance of that, and also the legal side. I mean, we did touch on the legal side, and it can be a bit of a black hole, but learning it in a way that didn't seem overwhelming was really, really useful as well. So you can kind of take it in bite-sized chunks, and you can probably go on forever and learn about it, but having that little bit of knowledge of the legal system was really, really useful as well. So yeah, it is in work pretty much 24/7.
Yeah, I could. So I suppose is there a bit of relief? I suppose you've done the course, because then you're in these situations at work, you're already doing the job, and obviously you've been working hard at developing your skills in there. But it sounds like this is almost like a mini accelerator to kind of get you to the next place.
Yeah, it's really, really useful to kind of learn it, but also do the job, and learning and also doing it as well. I feel like I learn practically as well as just writing essays and things like that. So it was really useful to kind of see what I'm learning in real life as it's happening. So learning about data entry and retention, and also seeing that for what it is, and growing the retention and increasing that, and understanding the importance of that as well.
Yeah, which comes back to the college slogan, learn it. Well, for the podcast, it's learned it, living it. Oh. So obviously you've kind of just summarised the podcast title in that, because you're literally living it, putting it into action, and like you're saying there, data can be a minefield. It can feel overwhelming, I suppose, at times, but if you've got a structure and some steer, actually data is some of the most valuable things to a company and it can really make an organisation if you use data correctly.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I suppose obviously, has studying has it reinforced your career goals? Like, you've gone down this route, I'm going to do HR, move from pharmaceuticals, you've done the course. Judging by the way you're talking, you're not going, no, I'm not interested.
No, I think after I finished, I was very much kind of like, right, next one. I want to do another one. I want to evolve. I want to grow. I want to know as much as I can about this subject. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and something that I really want to, exceed in. So I'm definitely looking at that level 5 to go next.
Are you going straight away, or are you going to
have some
time in the pub?
I'm going to have, I think I'm gonna chill out first, and then maybe have a look next year and definitely enroll.
But I suppose that gives you a chance to take away what you learned at level 3,
absolutely,
put it into work, and then you can make the next step again, because obviously it is the next
absolutely
level.
And I think as well, it's all about giving yourself a break and understanding that, I do work full time as well. So I need to also put that at the forefront of my mind as well. So giving myself that break and letting my employer know that definitely I've got plans to exceed, but we'll see how this level 3 has gotten me so far.
It sounds like it's done you pretty well. So I think, obviously, you came back to look at the CIPD, like you self-directed that. I think, the sort of, we know the journey there, but I suppose what made you actually go, I need this course? Like, what was the bit that made you get over that?
I remember reading it, and it said great for supporting staff for HR, and I thought, brilliant, that's exactly what I am. I'm supporting at the minute. And I feel there was a point where I felt like I was drowning in a kind of jargon and all sorts, and I just had no idea what things were going on. And then it wasn't until maybe the 3rd week of college, and I thought, I feel like I'm getting it now. This is what this is now. I understand it. It was a bit like everything clicking into place, and then I felt, okay, I'm not drowning in information overload. This is exactly what it is, and this is what HR is.
Yeah, so you kind of identified that gap in your knowledge.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, because obviously you've done your A-levels, moved into pharmaceuticals, and you're like, right, let's change. And then you're like, okay, what do I do next?
Yeah.
There's loads of jargon. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. So, there's a bit of self-reflection there. You're already doing self-reflection.
Oh, love it.
There you go. Fantastic. I think, what would you recommend? I think the answer is yes. Would you recommend the course to others? But why? Why in particular would you recommend it? What are the things that you would say are the biggest takeaways from it?
I would definitely recommend it for people that are looking to go into learning and development, people that, even if you don't want to go into HR, I think it's really worth, just for personal development, it's really good. If you're going into maybe a bit more of a senior role or a team leader role, then it could be really, really useful just to see how people, how people respond to change, or how people or employers will, deal with different things and things like that. So it's really interesting, especially if you are dealing with a lot of employees to go in. But definitely if you're going into kind of a junior HR role, it's so worth it to kind of just see the background of it all and the theory and everything in between. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, and do you feel that it's probably put you in the right steps? Because you're looking at that level 5, but I'm assuming that you're also looking at your future career aspirations and things there. So do you feel that, the CIPD plays a key part in that?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of companies are looking for that CIPD, and it's something. It's a massive accrediting body, and I think once you've got that behind you, you can go really, really far with it. I'm really lucky that in my current job, they are looking to kind of take me on and grow my knowledge and retain me that way and that kind of thing. So yeah.
People are an organisation's biggest asset at the end of the day,
absolutely.
isn't it? And looking after them is important, so that's great to hear. Also, you could also cite a few things in HR legislation and go, look what I know. But no, absolutely. I think, if you could give one piece of advice to someone looking, and it doesn't have to be, say, in HR in this instance, but anyone that is looking to do any of these types of courses, I think, what would you say to them in terms of, I suppose, how to go about it, why they should consider it, and probably your biggest takeaway that you've had?
That was a lot of questions in one.
Yeah, so we'll go with, let's go with why. So why should they go about it first? Like, what would you say?
I think you've got to have the drive, and you've got to want to have that drive to better yourself and things like that. So I think if you've got the want, if you've got the drive, if you've got the oomph to go do it, 100% you're not going to regret it. Like, it's only going to do good things for you, but you've got to want to do it.
Yeah. So they've made the decision, they want to do it. So what would you say to them about talking about how they should do it?
How? So definitely have a look at the website. That's just something I looked at. Also call them, talk to them, email them, bombard them. I had a really, really kind of easy transition into Darlington College. I thought it was going to be something, hadn't been to college in like 5 years, so I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be really wild, really scary, but it was really smooth, really painless. So yeah, definitely have that conversation if you need to.
Yeah, and I think just to reflect back on, also you spoke to your employers in this case and
Absolutely.
told them of your aspirations, and they bought into it as well, which was fantastic.
Having that communication with your employer, I think, is a massive thing, and having that open dialogue of, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to benefit myself, and having that open conversation is really important.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they're in a great position because you've come back, you've done some learning, and you've come back with better skills, more knowledge, and empowered to really make a difference for the company. So I think that's fantastic. I think, is there anything else that you'd like to share about your experience on the course?
I was just really grateful that my company was able to kind of support me through it. I think without them, I probably wouldn't have done it without their backing. So yeah, just really excited about the future.
Fantastic. I think one word that I wrote down before all I could hear was opportunity, and sounds like you're looking at the opportunities that you can now look at within the field. You've essentially changed careers.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're extremely well equipped to take on the next step. So how do you think level 5 will be the next step for you?
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be.
Okay, well, we wish you all the best of luck with that level 5. And actually,
Thank you.
if you did level 5, we'll have to get you back in.
Thanks.
Look at the team off camera. But no, you've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for giving your time. Really, really appreciate it, and sharing your experience. Appreciate one thing's getting the course done, but then having to be interviewed about the course and getting all that work done, reliving all of the hard work that you've put into it. But it's really well deserved. And
Thank you.
Congratulations from the college. Obviously, we're delighted that you've achieved what you set out to do. And we do wish you all the best in your future career ambitions. And obviously, if you want that level 5, you know where the college is, and they're ready to help. But no, that's absolutely outstanding. So what I'll do is I'll just finish off by saying, if you're interested in any of the information that we talked about today regarding the CIPD courses, there is information all over the website, as we've rightly been told. And also, people at the college are ready and waiting to talk to you about the courses. So if you do have a question, just get in touch, and the team at the college will happily talk you through all of the different courses, the different options, and they'll really work with you to help you understand what would work for you ideally. So other than that, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
That has been the episode of the podcast. If you'd like any more information, visit darlington.ac.uk, and we'll see you in the next episode.